It's your chance to be Mr. Wonderful. You can.
Hey Dennis, how are you?
Hey Grant, how are you?
Doing good.
Let me get you to share the screen here.
Perfect.
Hey Sana, how are you?
Hi, Dennis. I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. All right. Can you hear me okay? I'm using earphones for the first time.
Yeah, I hear you so fine.
Good. All right. What's going on, Grant? How are you?
Doing good. Just studying for finals. I got 2 finals tomorrow and then a couple later in the week and a couple next week.
Oh, wow. 6 of them, huh?
Yeah. Taking 18 credits
Wow.
now. So
Wow. What are you graduating this year?
no, so I graduate in a year and a half. So 2023.
Wow.
Yep. So
You're a young dude.
stuck with me for a little bit longer.
Yeah, you're a young dude, man. What can I say?
Yeah. I'm feeling like an old guy today. I think I might be passing a kidney stone.
Oh, geez. Have
Shooting.
you ever done that before?
No, but my friend has, and she was telling me it like her symptoms, and they're exactly the same as mine. So I'm loving that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, people I've known that had them could not be having a conversation like this.
Okay. That gives me comfort.
Yeah, I mean, it is an incredibly painful, like off the hook pain. I've seen people crawling on the ground in pain, so hopefully you won't get to that spot.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I
Yeah.
think it's early in the process. If it is, if not, it's just awful back pain.
Oh man, that's too bad. Hey, Allison, how are you?
Hey Dennis, I'm doing well. So this is our last
Good.
class.
For now, yeah. We'll start it up again at some point. And I'll fill you in on what's going on with all that. As soon as I get a few people here, and then we'll blab. So this is pretty wild. Have you guys ever heard of Costco Next? NEXT? So they have a program where they work with brands who are willing to offer deals to Costco members. But what caught my eye, I'm just on the site. One of the first live streaming video brands that I ran across is a crazy place called Sexy Modest Boutique out of northern Utah. It's a long, involved story. And they're on here. They're on the Costco Next. I can't believe it. So that just blew me away. And that's a husband and wife that live in northern Idaho in a really rural area and do $1 million a month in sales on their website, all through live streaming
How do people
on
do that?
comments sold. What's that?
How do people do that? We hear stories like that all the time. Such and such did $1 million and such. I mean,
Yeah.
What do
Well,
they sell?
it's hard to know what the truth is, but I'll tell you what I know. So Comment Sold was one of our first companies that we worked with here that I ran across that was doing live streaming in a big way. But they kind of focus on clothing boutiques. That's kind of their niche. So a lot of the companies that use Comment Sold as a technology are in fact these little clothing boutiques, and they're all over the place, all over the country. And this particular one was one of the first. And the story that I was told was the wife worked for some kind of brand in Los Angeles, a national brand or something, and quit that job and went to northern Idaho with the husband. I forget the whole story of why they went there. They're homeschooling their kids and all this kind of stuff. But they, she started basically selling clothes. I'm assuming she used her contacts and her expertise from, her background. And you can go on the site and see it, Sexy Modest Boutique. And they just sell an insane amount of stuff. I don't know how else to to say it. I don't know what's true and what isn't, because when you talk to a provider like someone like Comment Sold, they might be exaggerating. They don't have any real reason to tell the truth. But I think it's pretty clear that they do pretty big business, and the fact that they're on the Costco site reinforces that to me. So they must be doing something. But the online clothing boutiques have done very well with live streaming as a category, and it's one of the reasons is it's always something new, and the people who run these things, they kind of run them like almost like fashion shows, I guess, where they have like models, and most of them are their friends or themselves. Maybe they happen to be good enough looking to be a model. But the format is often introducing new clothes on a kind of a regular basis, as best I can tell. I've tried to look into it. Comment Sold is an interesting company. It was formed by this guy, the CEO, who built it just to help his fiance, who had a clothing boutique in Southern Alabama or somewhere. And the long involved story, but they built it for her, and she did really well. And then all these other people started doing it, and they actually charge 3% of the sales made through their platform. And last year they did $1 billion in sales on Comment Sold. So they were featured in Forbes and Fortune, and they get a lot of publicity. But they're from a rural town in Alabama, and they got their own little deal. And some of our companies have tried it, and the problem that we had with it is they actually don't have any audience at all. Unlike Pop Shop or even Talk Shop, they don't have like a core audience of people that use Comment Sold. Each individual brand is their own thing, right? So if you're Sexy Modest, and they got a whole bunch of different ones, it's their customers that they have built up. So there's no institutional customer base like some of the others. So some of our folks tried it and literally got like not even one visitor, just dead as a doornail. So I started looking at other things after that, after that point, just to try to learn the lay of the land. And I think there's still a lot to be learned as to which platform is good for what kind of business. We've seen with Pop Shop Live that some of you guys are doing really well with it. Others are not seeing any activity at all. So it just depends on the mix of people that are on a particular platform. Couple things. So Pop Shop Live is a venture funded company. And so what happens with venture funded companies, if you haven't been exposed to it, they have a requirement to grow really, really fast. And they have to report those metrics pretty frequently. So as a consequence, most venture funded companies kind of, that's their holy grail, is showing growth month over month. And that's in users, in their case. And so when we started doing our Shop Rural Day, they had never hosted anything related to food before. In fact, they're new in general, but it just so happened that the day before our Shop Rural Day, they had a big event with a bunch of Disney ceramic pin sellers. Crazy as that sounds. And so that group on that day did 50,000 in sales on Pop Shop Live. Our group, by comparison, was something like 5,000. So orders of magnitude lower dollar volume. And as a consequence, we kind of lost their attention, that they were like, okay, we gotta find stuff that grows fast as much as we like this. And I just found them, just not really responsive. Well, they have come back to me finally. And I think it's because my contact is high up enough, that's strategic enough to realize that selling stuff from small makers should be part of their equation, even if it isn't as fast growing as Disney ceramic pins. So they are willing to give us back our Shop Rural event page, which I think we can use it once a month, is what they were telling me. So I just got this message a little bit before. I'll dig into it, but it looks to me like, why not do it? For those of you who are doing it anyway, great. And some of you, the ability to have an event space that we can advertise and promote to, I think is helpful. So even though I do like what Talk Shop Live is doing, I'm not going to turn down this opportunity to have this continuing space. I think it's going to be called Shop Rural Day. It won't be Shop Rural Day because we're getting away from that event thing, one day, but it will be a space on their site. And they've actually, mentioned specifically that some of our sellers are doing good. I guess in particular, Copper Ashes, which sells the crystals and stuff, apparently is going well. So we'll have that space, which is great. And it's a shame they didn't respond to me, because I would have liked to have done something, before holidays. But we're going to try to get something together. We'll see what we can do on that. So the other thing is just to give you some information about this accelerator. So our accelerator, Accelerate Rural, is a program that has been funded by primarily NCIDEA and most recently by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And these grants are basically designed to support what we've been doing, which are these classes, and to get small rural companies access to some of this stuff, some of these ideas and some of this training. So as part of that, I have been under contract by Accelerate Rural to be the director and a bunch of assorted things. At this moment, I have not been offered a contract to renew. And I think that they keep telling me that they will, but I haven't gotten it yet. So I think part of the problem is the UNC system has put in some kind of rule about faculty that are 100% remote. Apparently they feel it's an area of potential abuse. So apparently, there's some scrutiny associated with that. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen with my involvement in this. I'm assuming it will continue, but I don't, at this actual moment in time, I don't have anything on it. I don't have classes scheduled. I don't have anything. That my contract ends at the end of December. So that's what that is. We have had a lot of folks reaching out to me who would like to get involved, and some of them are other institutions. We have been approached by the president of Penn State about doing this for the universities in the Penn State system, which is 21 of them. We've been approached by UNC Chapel Hill. We've been approached by the Rural Center. So there's a number of things kind of percolating around, and we'll see how it all plays out. But one way or the other, I'm going to continue, even if I just do it on my own, because I think it's needed. I think it's helpful, and I don't really get anything from the university anyway. There's not like it's some big loss if I'm not associated with a particular university. So that's just the way it is. At this point. Let's see, what else was I going to share with you guys? The other thing is the creation of our kind of video library and access to all that. That's supposed to be being done in some kind of organized fashion. There's a contract with the College of Education at ECU to take all of our video materials and rationalize it, turn it into some sort of organized process. So I have not seen anything on that. I know they're working on it, but I think that helps to make this stuff available, if you decide to review it later or look into it later. So I think that's a real positive. And I think also one of the things I would like to do is I would like to develop more sources of funding for you all, whether it's investors, whether it's financial institutions, venture capital guys, or other categories of investors. That's one thing I think that we're lacking is the ability to help you all financially where appropriate. So that's something I'm working on also going forward. So with that, I'll open it up to really whatever you all want to talk about or discuss about your experience or complaints, praise, any whatever.
This is more of a question. So, about applying for funds, right? Going towards the venture capitalists or, working with or sharing equity in the company with someone. This is more of a, personal thing that I would love to work with a mentor. I would love to pay someone for help, whatever it takes. But when it comes to sharing equity, even that's fine. But what I feel, or correct me if I'm wrong, what comes with working with VCs is kind of like having a boss, and I'm kind of over that. I've done that in the corporate world for the longest time. Right now, I'm the one making decisions. It's one thing to, set goals and work towards achieving them, but to really report to someone and have them make the decisions, is that kind of what comes with working with VCs, or how do you guys?
That has not been my experience. So first of all, I think that the types of funding that we might be able to get access to, I think the venture capital is a very small potential slice. I think the non-dilutive grants, loans, other kinds of traditional small business type of financing, I think would probably be much more likely or much more prevalent. As far as venture capital goes, or really any sort of individual investor, is think of them like a board of directors, right? So the board of directors of a company really doesn't make decisions. Management makes decisions, and management there may be certain things that the board has authority on, like naming directors and stuff like that, but very few quality investors want anything to do with running your company. They are not interested in that. They are interested in their investment being returned, and they are interested in helping you. But if you look at almost every corporation in America of any size at all, they all have boards of directors, and those boards are generally speaking, they're picked by management, right? They decide who gets invited and so forth. So it isn't necessarily a boss. That's not been my experience at all. It's been more like an advisor or a resource, somebody who can add value and say, hey, have you ever thought about this? I'll give you one quick example of where I've seen this. So, I'm an old school guy, and when you start talking about driving revenue, I think sales, right? How do I get more sales? And, traditionally that has been done by having salespeople make sales, right? And go out and call on people and try to drive revenue. Well, actually, the fastest growing way to grow revenue is through partnerships. And partnerships are very common in venture funded companies because the venture capitalists themselves run companies that are potential partners for you, right? So they say, hey, let's talk about a partnership. And you can totally change your company almost overnight with the right partnership. It doesn't mean that they're your boss. It doesn't mean they even own any equity at all, but they could mean a lot of revenue for you. Particularly, like even in the case of, I think I've thrown out the food bank and others. Those kinds of deals can dramatically change your revenue and dramatically change your business outlook. And there's no equity dilution. There's no new boss to deal with. It's just a deal that you have to manage. So that's been my experience with, you all as entrepreneurs really need to develop your own kind of perspective on how you want to fund your growth. Some may have no interest in any kind of professional investor. Others may want to have the help or the savvy of some of them. You know, it's all over the place, but you are the boss, and you are the ones with the vision and the why that will attract investors in the first place. And so I wouldn't worry too much about losing control. You know, it's like I said to one guy, this one guy told me he really got ratcheted down over the years in investment in his company. And he started off with like 75%, and he ended up with 7%. The 7% was worth $1 billion. So he wasn't complaining, right? So, you know, it just depends on the facts of the matter. So percentages, all that kind of stuff doesn't matter. It really matters. Are you reaching your goal? Are you reaching your objective? Are you realizing the vision that you have? And how do you do that? And I'm always here to help you think about it, bounce off. If I can introduce you to people, I will. But I think that as far as the curriculum goes, there's not been very much on how do you finance your business and what does it look like, and have guest speakers in that subject area. So it's just something I'm, you know, working on, I guess, thinking about. Anyone else? Okay. So I guess the other thing is that on our our Techstars stuff that's on our website, the member resources, if you look through that, there's quite a bit of it we did not cover, but there may be stuff on there that's valuable to you, and almost all of them have connected worksheets or workbooks, or, you know, things that you can do to implement what's being discussed. So there's quite a few resources there that may make sense for you. So I just encourage you to continue to access that. And you know, if you want to look over one of the clips or one of the subjects, I think it's people do it all the time. I get emails all the time that people say, hey, I looked at that emotional intelligence thing again, or I looked at that, you know, whatever. So it is a resource for you, and it's absolutely the latest and greatest stuff in the space. I mean, these guys are number one by a long margin, and the fact that they let us use this, I still don't understand, but I'm glad they do, and hopefully they'll continue to do that, because I think it's very valuable stuff. So, anyone else? Amanda, you've got your microphone on.
Yeah. So back towards like future things. I would really love a second pass at this class, because I feel like it's sort of like watching a movie more than once, that you can sort of see nuances that you missed the first time because you're just overwhelmed, quite frankly, with information.
Yeah.
So I would love that opportunity in whatever shape or form it comes in. But I also had a question about, are there like how can you go about finding a volunteer or a pay for mentor, like a CEO by the hour? I know that sounds silly, but like, you know, I am personally not in the space where having a full-time CEO or mentor type person is reality, but I am at the point where without some sort of external input, mentorship, I can't grow much more. And so it's not money that's holding me back. It's really like experience and knowledge.
Yeah.
What do you suggest when that's your issue?
Well, first of all, we have a number of mentors on our site. I don't know if you've gone through and looked at them to see if anybody there can help you, because I will connect you with them. Although, frankly, I think it would be after the holidays before anybody would really pay a lot of attention. But
more than I could do anything anyway. But no, I didn't look at them with that in mind. So that's a great suggestion.
Yeah, there's 35 of them there, and I have a lot more people that I know as well. Like the Larry that I introduced you to, Amanda. Larry, I don't know if he told you about his background, but he is the vet to the stars. He's a very famous guy in California. He did.
He did very humbly mention all of that. Yes.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, it's insane. The people he knows, the stuff he's done. So anyway, I just happened to meet him through another friend who's a venture guy, and I don't travel in vet circles that much, but I was like, man, this guy's got to know what's going on, Jesus, So
Yeah.
hopefully he can help. But basically, what you do is you start somewhere, and you try to network off that. And I wouldn't hesitate to reach out to your university. I don't know if you went to UNC or NC State,
Right.
but they all have lists of people who want to help. May not be formally called mentors, but they might have really good suggestions. I've actually, in businesses I've done in the past, I've got tremendous help from UNC Chapel Hill's Keenan Center. I mean, unbelievable, and including getting me to people that had nothing to do with the university, but was exactly what I was looking for. So that's an organization, a woman named Elizabeth Basknight, Basknight. I'll put her name in the Facebook, but Elizabeth is really well connected in the UNC Chapel Hill universe of people, and there's lots of different types of resources there. But I would just start asking and connecting. Take a look at our mentors. Take a look at, don't hesitate to ask that guy Larry. Hey Larry, do you know anyone who can help me? Do you know like a younger vet who might be interested in mentoring me if it's not something that you're really keen on? I wouldn't hesitate to ask. He may well know somebody. I know he's connected to the NC State veterinarian world.
Yeah, and I think we'll be working together, and it's the hard part is not the vet part for me, it's the business part. Like I know the vet part, it's all this other stuff that is like Chinese. So
Yeah.
But I will definitely look at the resources, and that's a great idea. And I may follow up with you as well about some people at the Keenan Center, because they're right down the road
Anytime.
from me.
Yeah,
Thank you.
anytime. Yeah, Elizabeth is great. I've worked with her on several projects, and I mean, one of the projects that she introduced me to the guy who makes all the napkins for McDonald's worldwide. I mean, bizarre, right? But the guy was gigantic, and he didn't even know he existed. His company was in Kinston, 15 miles from me.
Wow,
That's
so
just
cool.
quietly making napkins for every McDonald's, and straws. So you just never know. You never know what's
Well,
out there.
thank you so much for all of your time and efforts. I know everyone is really appreciate your investment in us.
Oh, thanks. It's fun. I get people to actually listen to me. My wife's impressed. It's like, God, I can't believe they listen to you.
Dennis,
she's actually a sweetheart. I'm just kidding.
So for Amanda, another resource is SCORE. It's it's a volunteer organization it's a nonprofit. It's funded by the SBA, and they will assign you a mentor. You just have to be able to couch your request carefully so that you get the right person. Because the first person that they sent me, I can't remember what I was asking for help on now. But anyway, the first person that they sent me was, interesting, but really didn't have a lot to offer in what I need. So I realized I needed to put in my request differently.
And thank you, because that's the experience I had with SCORE too. So based on your story, I will think more critically about how I do things and go back to them, because I had the same experience and then got sort of frustrated. But I'll be more tenacious.
Yeah, the other group, and I think they're called Small Business Centers, SBC, and then there's SBTDC, which is Small Business Technical and Development Center. All of the community colleges and all of the four-year schools in the state have offices of those people. And that's a state agency that is funded by the state of North Carolina. And in many cases, SCORE reports up to them. So they have other resources in addition to SCORE, but that's a pretty big operation. I know they have at least 60 offices in the state at the community colleges. So small business centers, SBC or SBTDC, they're all based on wherever you're located. You go to the one near you, and they can help. In addition to SCORE, they have other resources that they have available. And also, I think you can look into it. Every area is different, but some areas might have a good chamber of commerce where they have like a good active membership, that you might find some help from groups like that. Community groups that are, that the quality of those really varies depending on where you are, but that's another one. And then the last one I'll throw out at you is it's called the EDPNC, and it's the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina. EDPNC. They are also, but they're actually a private public partnership. So the state of North Carolina is a partner as well as private, and they are an economic development group. And so they are really well connected. Usually they're organized by industry. So you'll have somebody who works with seafood, somebody who works with manufacturing, and so forth. So you go to their website, edpnc.org, and you can see all the different areas they cover. And they actually have grants and programs to help you do stuff, which is pretty interesting. Like, for example, for this group, they would be really interested in helping you learn how to sell your products in Canada and Mexico, for example, and would give you grants to help figure that out. They're an extremely active group, and really a great combination of kind of state type resource as well as private. It's kind of a neat combination, and they are able to kind of go across lines. They're not like a typical state agency.
I had an experience with EDPNC when I was first getting started. I reached out to them, and this was the most help I've ever gotten from anyone. They outlined every single thing I needed, from registering my business to applying for whatever kind of licenses, who I needed to go to. I mean, and they even went as far as telling me that if I didn't hear back from someone, like the inspector to come inspect my facility or whatever, they could, expedite it or whatever. So I would highly recommend them. I had forgotten about them. So I don't know if maybe you can tell Dennis if they are good as far as, helping out with the strategy moving forward, like mentorship and things like that. But I'll definitely.
I don't know. I would think they would have access or information about how to do that. That's their job is economic development. So anything they can do to help you grow, they're going to try to do. So the contact there, I'm going to give you, I'll put it in Facebook. His name is John Loyak, Loyock, and he's one of the bosses. I forget his title, but he gets stuff done. So he'll end up assigning someone. If you reach out to him, he'll say, I'm going to connect you with so-and-so, but he's kind of he's not the biggest boss, but he's one of the top guys. I think he's in charge of the exporting side of it, but he's been great. He's gotten me guest speakers. He's been more than helpful. So I'll put his contact information in there in the Facebook group, so you can reach out to him. He's great.
Dennis, is it okay to reach out to you after the holidays about connecting with a mentor that's on the website?
Anytime. Anytime. I'm going to be bored out of my mind over the holidays, but our grandkids coming from London, so they get here the day after Christmas. So we're excited about that. And but other than that, I'll probably be bored out of my mind, So yeah, anything I can do to do something constructive instead of go out in the horse barn and shovel that stuff, I'm happy. So anyone else got anything good?
I was just blown away by just sometimes we get in our little tunnels and we can't see, but what you brought to the class is a whole vision of what is potentially out there that I had no clue. I mean, the venture capitalism, I just am like a deer in headlights. Just that whole financial side of the small businesses, the product, the food industry, the small packaging.
Yeah.
It's unreal what's out there, and it's almost scary because if you're a one-person show, and Sana is too, it
Yeah.
is like, where do we go from here? I mean, I rent a little thing that could be sold at any time. It's a little commercial kitchen because I can't produce in my home because I have dogs in my home. But,
Yeah.
you know, once you grow, but it's like, it's amazing what's out there. And it's exciting and it's scary at the same time.
Well, I think you have to be really purposeful with why you're doing this and where you're going. What's your objective, right? And then once you commit to that objective and that why, then you have to start building your team of who can help you reach that. And some will be potentially employees, some will be guys like me, could be other people. You know, like yesterday, Andy Kurtz. If you can get an Andy's Rolodex, you'll never have a question about packaging or anything related to a small food brand, because trust me, that guy has forgotten more than I know. So, and he's, as you can tell, he's very approachable. Everyone I've tried to get on here, I've picked because they're not a wolf, right? I've stayed away from wolves. I've stayed away from people that I think are more trouble than they're worth, and try to introduce you to people that I think are genuinely interested in helping. So Andy's a perfect candidate for your team, you know, and it might be some really small project you start with him, you know, not a full born, you know, redo everything. But he's an example, and he talked about, you know, if you go back and watch his video from yesterday, he talked about how he started to grow his practice once the pandemic started. It was really helpful. I mean, he went to LinkedIn, he did certain things. Follow him, copy that, just do that stuff, you know, and it's really worked for him. I mean, the guy's everywhere now. When I first met him, he had just left that market, and he didn't have a lot of customers. I mean, he was, you know, they were worried about were they going to be able to make a living doing it. And so he described his process in yesterday's talk, and I thought it was like a textbook of how you build awareness of who you are and what you're doing. I mean, you start being invited to be guests on podcasts, you know, because you have something to add, some topic you can cover, and so I would just think of it as almost like you're the coach of the team, and what kind of players do you need? The first thing is, what game are you playing, and then the next thing is, who do I need on my team to win this game? And that's the way I look at it. And it may not be that big a deal. It may not be as hard as you think it is, depending on, you know, if you're going for world domination versus just, you know, Johnson County. It's a big difference in what you have to worry about. So hope that helps. Kime, how about you? You got some parting words of wisdom?
Well, I will say that I agree with Amanda. Taking this the second time made a big difference. The first time, I think the whole class I was just overwhelmed and going, "Oh my God, what have I got myself into?" But now things have broken down in bite-sized pieces, and it's like, okay, now it makes more sense. Okay, this is applicable now. This is good information for the future, and this is something I may never need. But you know what? That's pretty cool to know. At least it's there. So,
Yeah.
but no, it's been wonderful. And I would, and again, if there's an opportunity somewhere down the road, I would love to get back in this, because every class is different. And I have learned so much from this group as well as the last group. And, you know, I say it about my uh, events and my market family, that every time I show up at one, it's like a family reunion. I've met somebody I hadn't seen. And I hope the same with this group and the last group, that our paths will cross again and we'll be able to network.
Absolutely. I'll do
One of
everything I can to make that happen.
Well, and I'm also looking at trying to kind of like John and Craig have with their process. I'm looking to try to build on my pop shop, and it may not just be pop shop, it may be talk shop as well. But I want to bring in other North Carolina products and expand on what we're doing here. So if I reach out to some of you guys, hey, don't cut me off and slam the phone down, please. Because we're going to try to network and do some things together. So I'd love to bring some of your products in and offer that, and be able to expose on my platform or my direction with maybe some of my customers to you guys. So So we appreciate
Well,
that. But thank you
it's-
guys so much.
Well, thank you for your kind words. I am going to just point out that you guys are living through a fundamental transition in the way e-commerce works, and that is, you know, we're getting away from third-party data like Facebook and other, and we're going to first-party data, which is your data. And so I believe, if you think about it from the perspective of it's your, just like you just described, Kind, your platform, you called it. That's exactly what we're talking about here. You know, whether it's Talk Shop Live, Pop Shop, or whoever the hell it is, those are all transitory until you really get to the spot where everything happens on your site, on your platform, including the live streaming, and it'll happen. It'll happen. That's the future. The future is you being in control of your platform and your data, and not having to, you know, pay the freight to some party that, like a Facebook. You really don't need that. And once you get to a certain point, if you've got that product market fit, that people want your product or service, you don't need to keep paying money to some third party for customers, because you'll be able to attract them yourself. I really believe that. And that's a fundamental shift that's happened just in the last, say, 3 to 4 months. I know Sana really did well with her Facebook ads for a while, and now they're prohibitive. And that's just that's going to happen to all third parties. They're all going to, at some point or another, they're going to be too expensive to be of value to small businesses. So having your own platform, building your own platform. One of the things I really like about Talk Shop Live is they use a link instead of an app. So that means that link can be put anywhere. It can be put on Facebook, it can be put on Instagram, it can be put on your own website. It's really cool way to embed technology. And the next step will be to not even deal with someone like that at all, and their 10% or whatever. You'll have it all on your platform. So that's a fundamental shift that's happened just since I started doing this class, and even just in the last 6 months, I've noticed a real fundamental change in the way all this works. All right, April Kelly, do you have anything? I can't tell if your microphone's on or off. All right, well, I guess April's not there. Okay, well, that's about all I have for now. Oh, there she is. Hey, April.
Yeah, I was trying to unmute.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're just getting ready to sign off. I didn't know if you had anything you wanted to share with the group or any thoughts you had.
No, I've definitely enjoyed all of the content. There's a couple of different videos that I plan to go back and watch a second time just to be sure that I retain information, but it's all been super helpful. So thank you, Dennis.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I wish I was a baby getting your vegan formula, you know, that'd be cool.
It's coming really soon. I'm excited, but thank you.
Okay, great. All right, everybody. Well, for now, I'll bid adieu, and don't be a stranger. I'm, you know, if anything I can do for you, don't hesitate to reach out.
Hey, before we all sign off, I just wanted to say that, I mean, we've all said it, but definitely want to stay in touch with everyone. If you guys are ever in the North Valley area and want to hang out, you know, get some coffee or whatever, you know how to get in touch with me via Facebook, LinkedIn. I'll put my LinkedIn on our group as well. And also, I may have mentioned this before, that I did a lot of design work when I was for my business. I basically did all the packaging design, the website, I created it completely myself. I did everything. I never hired an outside person. So if you guys ever need help with any of that stuff, if you just want, like, you know, tweaks or something that wouldn't take me, like, you know, days to work on, like, you know, maybe a few hours here and there, I'll be happy to help out, you know, of course, free of charge. But just you know, because I consider us all friends here. So I would love to help, you know, anyone that needs help with anything at all. Just reach out, let me know.
Fantastic. That's great. All right, everybody. Well, enjoy the Christmas holidays if I don't talk to you, and I'm sure we'll be connecting before too much longer.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. See ya.
Bye.